In 2002, an energy drink market dominated by one player was about to get a rude awakening. Well, Red Bull had convinced the world they were the only game in town, a scrappy California company with a black and neon green claw logo was plotting something rather audacious. How did Monster Energy, starting 15 years behind the market leader, manage to build a multi-billion-dollar empire, capture half the US market, and eventually trigger a $5.6 billion acquisition? And why did they succeed where dozens of other Red Bull challengers failed? That's what we're breaking down today on the philosophy of marketing, the story of the most successful challenger brand in beverage history. To help understand Monster's improbable rise, we need to go back to the beginning. The year is 2002, Red Bull has already had a 15-year head start and dominates with over 80% of the energy drink market. The few companies brave enough to challenge them have all failed miserably. Enter Rodney Sachs and Hilton Schlossberg, two South African entrepreneurs who had acquired a struggling juice company called Hansen's Natural. They had been watching Red Bull's astronomical success and saw something that other challengers missed. Not a product to copy, but a playbook to subvert. We're not going to out Red Bull Red Bull. We need to break the rules completely. Monster's first move shocked industry insiders. Instead of copying Red Bull's slim, premium European design, they went totally opposite. While Red Bull was small, expensive, and sophisticated, Monster created a completely different visual and physical identity. Big, bold, and aggressively American. And here comes marketing lesson number 1. When challenging a dominant player, don't compete on their terms. Monster's 16-ounce can, twice the size of Red Bull for the same price, wasn't just a value play. It was a fundamental repositioning of the entire category. The name Monster, the menacing claw, the black and neon green color scheme, everything was designed to feel dangerous, rebellious, and intensely masculine. Red Bull had built this pseudo-sophisticated European identity. We decided to be loud, aggressive, and unapologetically American. Rodney Sachs, the CEO of Monster. And unlike Red Bull's medicinal taste that was positioned as functional, Monster focused on creating flavors people might actually enjoy drinking. The strategy was brilliantly counterintuitive. Make it bigger, make it bolder, make it taste better, and most importantly, make it feel like the anti-Red Bull. But having a product is one thing. Getting it into customers' hands is another, and Monster was about to make their boldest move yet. While Red Bull had built their own expensive distribution network, Monster made a counterintuitive decision. They partnered with Anheuser-Busch's existing beer distribution network. This single decision gave Monster immediate access to 600 distribution centers nationwide, relationships with every major retailer, prime cooler positioning next to beer, and an experienced sales force that knew how to merchandise. And here comes marketing lesson number 2. When you can't build infrastructure, leverage existing networks. Former beverage analyst Mark Astrachan explains the brilliance. Monster essentially piggybacked on beer distribution systems that had taken decades to build. This allowed them to achieve national distribution in months instead of years. The strategy had another hidden benefit. While Red Bull was spending millions building their distribution system, Monster could funnel that money directly into marketing and product development. While Red Bull was creating their own proprietary events and media empire, Monster took a different approach to culture. They went deep into existing subcultures rather than trying to create new ones. Marketing lesson number 3. Don't create culture from scratch. Embed yourself in existing tribes. Monster identified specific tribes with devoted followers and made themselves an authentic presence in those communities. Motocross, skateboarding, mixed martial arts, rock music, BMX, gaming, rally racing, Monster systematically embedded their brand into the DNA of these existing passionate communities. See the difference? Red Bull was creating events named Red Bull X Fighters or Red Bull Crashed Ice. Monster instead plastered their logo all over established events like Supercross, X Games, and the UFC. Events that already had credibility with their target audience. And here are just some of the marketing stats from Monster and Red Bull. Red Bull event creation costs over $300 million annually, and Monster's sponsorship strategy was $120 million annually. Monster's return on their sponsorship strategy was an estimated 300% return on investment. Mark Hall, Monster's chief marketing officer, explained their thinking. We don't need to build the skate park. We just need to make sure our logo is on every ramp in every existing skate park in America. And critically, Monster stayed hyper-focused on young American males. While Red Bull gradually expanded to target everyone from office workers to college students, Monster doubled down on their core demographic. By 2010, Monster had captured 35% of the energy drink market, but their next move would prove even more disruptive. While Red Bull maintained essentially one product with very few variations, Monster unleashed a dizzying array of flavors, formulations, and sub-brands. And here's Monster's portfolio strategy. 34 flavor variations, Java Monster Coffee line, Monster Rehab Tea and Lemon line, Ultra Zero Sugar line, Import International Edition, Muscle Monster Protein line, and Hydro Sports Water line. This created a shelf domination strategy that literally pushed competitors out of the cooler. Look at this, in many stores, Monster products take up half of the entire energy drink section. That's not an accident, that's deliberate portfolio strategy. And here comes marketing lesson number 4. Use variety to dominate physical retail space. Beverage industry consultant Bob Golden explains why this worked. Monster turned retail space into a competitive weapon. Each new product line wasn't just about new customers, it was about squeezing the competitors off the shelf. Monster's rise didn't go unnoticed. By 2014, they had claimed 39% of the US energy drink market, and Coca-Cola came calling with the deal of a lifetime. In August of 2014, Coca-Cola purchased a 16.7% stake in Monster for $2.15 billion, with a strategic partnership that reshaped the global beverage landscape. The deal was unprecedented. Coca-Cola transferred its entire energy drink portfolio to Monster. In return, Monster gave its non-energy drinks to Coke. And most importantly, Monster gained access to Coca-Cola's global distribution network, the most powerful beveraging distribution system on the planet. By 2015, Monster was suddenly available in over 170 countries, up from just 30 before the deal. By 2017, Monster's market value hit $30 billion, and by 2022, it controlled nearly 50% of the US energy drink market. And here are the results Monster was able to generate. 2002 revenue, $110 million. 2022 revenue, $6.3 billion. Stock price growth, over 70,000% since 2003, and the global market share, 39%, second only to Red Bull at 43%. For investors who believed in Monster early, the returns were, well, monstrous. $10,000 invested in Hansen's Natural before they became Monster in 2003 would be worth over $7 million today. And here's the amazing part. They achieved this while spending a fraction of what Red Bull spent on marketing. Monster proved you don't need to outspend a competitor, you just need to outsmart them. And here comes our 5th and final marketing lesson. When you can't win the game, change it entirely. And that might be Monster's most important lesson of all. So what can we learn from Monster's extraordinary challenge to Red Bull? Let me break it down into 5 actionable lessons for any challenger brand. First off, differentiate radically, don't imitate. Monster didn't try to be Red Bull 2.0. They created an entirely different brand identity. What category conventions could your brand completely reject? Number 2, leverage existing infrastructure instead of building your own. Monster used Anheuser-Busch's distribution instead of building their own. What existing networks could accelerate your growth? Number 3, embed in existing communities rather than creating from scratch. Monster went deep into established subcultures. Which passionate communities align with your brand values? Number 4, use product diversity as a competitive weapon. Monster's portfolio strategy dominated shelf space. How could your product line strategically claim more customer attention? And our final one, number 5, partner strategically when you can't win alone. Monster's Coca-Cola deal was transformative. What strategic partnerships could change your growth trajectory? The lesson from Monster isn't just about creating an energy drink empire, it's about how challenger brands can succeed against seemingly insurmountable competition by rewriting the rules of the game. Monster didn't try to beat Red Bull at their own game. They created a new game, where Red Bull's advantages didn't matter. Industry consensus. So the next time you see that iconic claw logo, remember, you're not just looking at an energy drink. You're looking at one of the most brilliant challenger brand strategies ever executed. One that transformed an entire industry. Now, if you found value in this breakdown of Monster Energy's marketing genius, hit that like button and subscribe to the Philosophy of Marketing. In the comments, let me know what challenger brand or brand would you like me to analyze next. And until then, remember, great marketing isn't about outspending the competition, it's about outsmarting them.